Well, April is officially behind us. We're going to talk about the month that was, as well as take a look ahead at May. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday, May 3rd, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Welcome in. Happy Friday to all. We have an off day episode today, as yesterday, Thursday. The Tigers did not play, traveling to New York. We're going to preview that Yankees series at the end of the episode, talk about the pitching matchups, how the Yankees have looked this year, etc., etc. But we are going to talk a lot today about just some news and notes, some news, some things that might happen over the weekend, roster moves, Gio Urshela specifically, stuff like that. We'll take a look kind of around the league a little bit if we have time at the end as well. But we're going to talk a lot about where this team stands currently. And we've been talking on the show a lot about where the offense stands kind of the last week or so, right? We earlier this week on the rain out, we talked a little bit about some underlying numbers on the offense. So we'll take a look a little bit more into some of those. We're also going to bring up some pitching numbers, which the pitching has gone fantastic so far this season, obviously. So we're going to take a look a little bit at just, what April was, how we got here, how we got 5 games over 500 with 4 series wins in a row, what the team kind of, and again, it's not really a surprise to everybody that's watched is well aware that there's been a lot of low scoring games and the pitching's been good and the offense needs to get going. But I think that'll transition us into our conversation about May, which we'll have today as well. Just, looking at who we play and kind of what I'm expecting out of the team, what I want to see out of the team rather, in the month of May as well. Okay, so let's start off by talking about April. The pitching has been stellar, right? And that is not news to anybody who has even remotely followed this team. Look at these sunglasses I just found. If you're watching on YouTube, it's like print. These are kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. The pitching has been stellar. Top 3 to 5 in the league in a lot of different pitching stats. Batting average against, on base percentage against, slugging percentage against. They're around top 3 to 5 in pretty much all of those categories. They're around top 5, top 6 in hard hit rate and exit velocity against. So like the underlying metrics kind of support that. They've just been really successful. And the key to their success, I think the most important stat to look at with this conversation is first pitch strikes. This team lives on first pitch strikes. It is remarkable. 66.4% first pitch strikes. That comfortably leads baseball, comfortably, like almost a full percent. I think it's 0.7 or 0.8% higher than the Mariners at number 2. Now, if you don't follow the Mariners, you don't pay attention to Seattle baseball, that is also a ridiculously good pitching staff so far this season that has great numbers. The Tigers are first in baseball in chase rate. Number 1 in baseball in chase rate. Solid contact percentage. They're last. They good connotation. They are last. Okay. So they give up the fewest on a rate basis. It's like 4.1% of the contact they give up is solid contact. And that is dead last in baseball, which is great. So the pitching has been phenomenal for a lot of reasons. I don't think any more important. Obviously, like the chase rate and the whiff rate and whatnot, that's just an improvement in stuff. And like when you look at when Feder first took over, this pitching staff was taking big strides in the right direction, but like especially like I remember 2021 and 2022, they weren't giving up runs, but they weren't striking out very many people either, right? And they weren't getting a tons of swings and misses, and they were just getting the most out of guys, and they just didn't really have too much talent on the roster. Now they're at a position where they are blending, and we're 1 month into the season, right? We got a long way to go, obviously, but this is the blending, the perfect marriage of talent and great coaching, and you're seeing it really come to fruition here. And some of these I don't expect to hold. I don't know if I expect chase rate to be first place by the end of the season. That seems a little far fetched, but I mean, it's going to be up there, right? Clearly, it's going to be up there, and that is again a great combination of stuff, approach, game plan, and a lot of that falls on coaching. And then we talk on the flip side, right? The offense so far this season. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, like I said. So we don't have to do like a full deep dive on some of these, just because we had this conversation on the Rainout episode. But like this is an offense that's 19th in runs scored. Okay. You listen to some people, you'd think that this was the worst offense in the history of baseball. They're not even bottom 10 at the time of this recording in terms of just strictly the amount of runs they've scored. Now, that being said, I'm not trying to sell you on the fact that this offense has been good either. I watch every game. I promise I'm aware of the struggles. They are bottom 5 to 10. They're kind of in that range in most team stats offensively. On base percentage, slugging percentage. They strike out a decent amount. I think they're in the top 10, top 12 in the league in amount of strikeouts as an offense. They are dead last, and we talked about this earlier in the week, in first pitch swing percentage. That's frustrating. And I understand this approach. I have to take these off. I'm sorry. I can't see. I understand the approach that this organization wants to personify, right? They want to dominate the strike zone. On the pitching side, you throw first pitch strikes. On the hitting side, you work counts and you try to get ahead in the count as early in the count as possible, right? But at some point, other teams are going to go, wow, look at this. They don't ever swing first pitch. Here's a meatball down the middle. And we've been seeing that quite often in the last probably 3 series. We've talked about that a lot. And Torkelson has been the product of that conversation specifically, but this has been a team-wide approach. They have just do not swing at the first pitch, and other teams are realizing it, and it's becoming counterintuitive. Right now, you're behind in every single count because you're just automatically taking the first pitch. Now, I think in the in the Cardinals series, because doubleheader and then game 3, obviously on Wednesday, I think they adjusted a little bit. I think they were a little bit more aggressive. Riley Green's been slowly getting more aggressive on first pitch as well. But that's something I want to continue. I don't need them to be, swing 40% on first pitch. If you want to be a patient team, be a patient team. Be bottom 5, bottom 10 in first pitch swing. That's beautiful. But dead last in baseball by almost 1%. That's not going to happen. That's not going to work. Okay. And it would be different. And again, this is kind of regurgitated a little bit, but it would be different if this team was, we're not swinging first pitch, but guess what? We're top 10 in on base percentage. It's working. We're really working a lot of counts. No, again, they are bottom 5 in most team stats. You got to take what the pitcher gives you. Batted ball data actually isn't terrible, which I think is kind of a silver lining of the first month of the season with how rough some of the offensive stats have been. Like the hard hit rate is kind of middle of the pack, exit velo somewhat middle of the pack. Like those stats aren't at the very bottom of the league, which I think is at least something that you can kind of hang your hat on. But the one thing that really was I don't know, weird, I guess is just the word to me, was they have the highest launch angle in baseball. And like that doesn't really mean anything necessarily. Like team launch angle is like kind of a ridiculous stat in a way. And when you have Spencer Torkelson, who the average pop-up rate in baseball is like 7%, and his is like 17%. He's like over double the average pop-up rate. in Major League Baseball. So like when you have that on your roster, that's going to kind of swing things in one direction anyway. But it's a lot more than just one person. That's just a really, really high number. It's like well over 16 degrees like that. Just having that be, I think that comes down to timing a lot. And I think that that's something that we've talked about a lot as well on this show is just like the timing of fastballs specifically has been completely out of whack, especially the first like 3.5 weeks of the season. So a lot to improve on, obviously, but just want to talk about kind of where my head was at after this month of April. All right, let's talk about May. We'll do that right after this. Going to talk to y'all today about our friends over at eBay Motors. We love our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion and drive and patience is the formula for winning championships, and also it keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain a vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back on Monday recapping this weekend series against the New York Yankees. We'll preview that at the end. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. If you're tired of maybe all the screaming and yelling that Fox and ESPN provides you on a day-to-day basis, daytime television and whatnot, you can subscribe to Locked On Sports Today for free on YouTube, 24/7, all the great hosts of Locked On, or you can watch it on Amazon Fire TV in the channel's app. Okay, so talking about the offense, like I said, with the launch angle thing, that there are good teams that have high launch angles, like team launch angles, really, really kind of wild. I'm not trying to steer you one way or another in terms of that. It's just wild to have the highest. Like that's probably not the greatest thing in the world, and so I think there's just a lot of players on this team that are getting under fastballs, and a lot of that again is a lot of timing based things. So a conversation we've had plenty. Let's talk about May. All right. These are the teams you play in May in order. Okay. Yankees, Guardians. We've talked about that a lot. Your next 6 on the road. Astros, Marlins. Both terrible this year. The Astros are in an absolute blender, and the Marlins have not received as much of a backlash as they should for being like even remotely in the same conversation as the Chicago White Sox. I think they have 9 wins at the time of this recording, and the White Sox have 6. The Rockies have like 7 too. But the Marlins, for a team that was like competitive the last year and the last few years, they made a very interesting front office decision that we don't have to go into, but just absolutely train wreck of a season for them. Then you have the Diamondbacks, who obviously made the World Series last year. The offense has been good. Their pitching has been out of character atrocious. Like that was supposed to be one of the kind of stronger suits of the team. It's been really rough this year. The Royals, who we've already played a couple of times. The Blue Jays, around a 500 team so far. Vlad has been struggling mightily. Bichette has been struggling mightily. Then Pittsburgh for a patented Pirates 2-game series. Some alliteration there as well. I don't know why we play. Actually, I do know why, but like it's just weird. We always play the Pirates for 2-game series. And then we end the month with the Red Sox, who are keeping their head above water despite having one of the wildest injury situations I have literally ever seen. They 15 of their players are hurt. They don't have anyone on their 40-man that's healthy and not at the major league level. That's crazy. So that is your month of May. We've talked about the next 6, New York and Cleveland, those 2 teams that have started off really strong on the season, 19, 20-win teams. You are on the road for both of those series. It's not a surprise. I'm sure everybody is in the same boat. We need more offense in the month of May. And the silver lining to that comment is that in 2 of the last 3 years, because in 2022 they never figured it out and nothing ever went right on the offensive side of the ball. But in 2 of the last 3 years, the offense really turned it around and really got hot and hot is relative, got going more so than they did in April in, around a week or two in to the month of May. And if that can happen this year, we could really be in line for a pretty fun summer. But that also needs to happen in order to be a competitive team, right? And like this is the back and forth that we've had at length on this show. Like this team will not continue winning at this rate if the offense doesn't improve. They will not. They absolutely will not. That is this style of winning is not sustainable over 162. But being 5 games over 500 is awesome. You're on pace for over 90 wins as it stands right now. And if the bats do improve, the team won't have to dig themselves out of a hole like they were in 2021 and 2023. So it's a lot of give and take. In May, you're really just looking for again, like the hard hit rate and some of the underlying data is not terrible for the Tigers. So you're really just hoping that to iron out. Now, obviously, you can point to you want Torkelson to do better, you want Colt Keith to do better, you want Parker Meadows to do better if he's going to stick around. Like it's really easy to just point to players and go like, yeah, he's got an OPS that starts with the number 4. Like maybe we want them to take a step in the right direction. Absolutely, but I think team approach is something that I'll be looking for in the month of May as well to see if there's some, I don't know, kind of team-wide adjustments as we head into this new month, especially with the off day here and whatnot. So yeah, that is your month of May. It's not a gauntlet. It's not a cakewalk either, but it's certainly not a gauntlet. You could really, again, make some noise in the month of May, but you need the bats to get going. Gio Urshela is set to return hopefully sometime relatively soon. He will be traveling with the team for this upcoming road trip. Evan Petzold of The Freep reported that. So then the conversation becomes who gets sent down when Urshela returns. We've had this conversation a lot the last couple of weeks, especially with the return of some other players and, Buddy Kennedy and whatnot, that conversation. So, Wenceel Perez is in the, I don't think you can. His name's going to be floated around. I don't think you can justify sending him down right now if Urshela comes back within the next week. Parker Meadows is absolutely in that conversation. Zach McKinstry is in that conversation. Right now, I lean Parker Meadows, to be honest. I think you have Perez and you have Matt Vierling, who can play center field. McKinstry can give you struggles offensively are well documented on this show and just by anybody who watches the game. Yes, absolutely. But he gives you shortstop. He gives you plus defense. He's a lefty, and he's out of options. And I don't know if the Tigers are willing to part ways. They might be. We'll see. But I don't know if they want to part ways with some infield depth. So we'll see what happens. That's a thing that may not happen over the weekend, maybe not even happen next week, but it is looming. So I wanted to bring that up. Let's preview this series against the Yankees and talk a little bit about some news and notes around the league as well. All right, we'll do all of that right after this. I'm going to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Spring training is well in the past, and baseball season is in full swing. So don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and then add them to your Prize Picks entry today. You can get in on all the playoff action as well and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a whole new level during basketball's postseason. It is truly such a fun time of year to be a sports fan in general. We got a lot going on, right? Late April, early May, and there is no better time to get in on. You just pick a stat, pick more or less for certain players, and you can win a lot of money. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Also, got to tell you all about our friends over at Monopoly Go. All right, let's take a time out here and truly just break down all of the great features of Monopoly Go. You can team up with your friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you can unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers that you can trade with friends and complete albums for even bigger prizes, cool new playing pieces, travel boards, hilarious emojis for taunting your friends, and so much more. Plus, Monopoly Go always feels new and exciting every day because they're constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games. You can dig for treasure in one of them. It's super fun. And there's always some timed events as well to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover at Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now for free in Google Play or the App Store. All right, everybody, welcome back. Your third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every single day. We are going to preview this series against the New York Yankees. The Yankees are off to a good start this season, 20-13 record. We'll talk a little bit about some of the players to watch, and the pitching matchups is where we're going to start here. So game one, Friday, today as you're listening to this, Reese Olson versus Marcus Stroman. Reese Olson 3.18 ERA, and he's 0-4 on the year. Absolutely ridiculous. Get him some run support, please. Marcus Stroman 2-1 with a 3.69 ERA. Olson's last outing was really great, so looking for him to repeat that. Keep, again, fastball. I'm not going to talk your ear off about it, even though I already probably have. Fastball efficiency. Looking at that in a big way. Marcus Stroman is genuinely one of the elite ground ball pitchers in our sport. The sinker isn't very high velo, but it is an elite pitch for inducing soft contact on the ground. And that is what he is going to do. He's going to live at the bottom of the zone with that cutter low and away to righties. And then obviously that sinker is just going to get pounded everywhere low in the strike zone. And they're going to have to figure out a way to lift the baseball against one of the game's best ground ball pitchers and has been for a very long time. Game two, Saturday, is going to be Casey Mize versus Clark Schmidt. Casey Mize 1-0 with a 3.08 ERA. Schmidt 2-1 with a 3.19 ERA. From Mize, really just looking for him to keep improving. His last outing, I thought the slider looked a lot better. We talked about that, right? The command of his splitter has kind of been come and go, touchy-feely so far this season. So we're looking for some consistency there. And then obviously keep an eye on the fastball with him too. Schmidt has had a really solid season so far. Pretty decent stuff. I actually really liked Clark Schmidt when he was a prospect. This is probably what, 4 or 5 years ago now, if he's in his late 20s. But this is another guy that's going to throw a lot of cutters and sinkers, a little bit more swing and miss in Schmidt than in Marcus Stroman. But guy, again, when he was coming up, I really liked his stuff. And again, he's had a pretty solid year so far. And then on Sunday, the series finale, you will have Tarek Skubal, who's 4-0 with a 1.72 ERA, going up against Nestor Cortez, 1-3 with a 3.86 ERA. For Skubal, just be great. Go be you, dog. Just be Tarek Skubal, and I'm going to be a happy camper. Nestor Cortez, he messes a lot with timing, right? Just his timing to the plate. Tries to really mess with the hitter's timing. His windup is funky already, kind of. And on top of that, he, sometimes quick pitches and sometimes really does the opposite of quick pitching. It takes forever. He is all over the place trying to mess with the hitter's timing. He's kind of a middle of the pack strikeout and swing and miss pitcher, but a big time fly ball pitcher. Big time. He always has been. The ball is rarely on the ground when Nestor Cortez is on the bump, but he's had a solid year. And he's kind of had a roller coaster. Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? He had a really good year. And then since then, he's had a really rough year. So gotten off to a decent start, sub-4 ERA, like I said. The biggest thing this weekend, as far as, these three pitchers go, that really jumps out at me is you're not facing a lot of velocity this weekend, right? None of these starters really even have mid-90s fastballs. I guess Schmidt, his sinker is kind of 94, 95 maybe. But everybody, I mean, that's it. It's one pitch from one pitcher that is mid 90s. Everything else you're going to see is honestly like low 90s. So that doesn't mean that they're bad though, right? Like obviously these guys are all professionals and are all good and have had, again, all of them have sub 4 ERAs on the season. It's just something to note because the entire Tigers team has struggled to time up fastballs this year. And I really don't know if seeing slower velocity over the course of a full series, and they got some dogs in their bullpen, but seeing slower velo out of the gate all weekend is going to help or hurt their, attempt to time up fastballs that the whole team has kind of been struggling with this season. So we'll see. As far as their offense goes, Juan Soto is absolutely incredible. Go if you want to just make yourself giggle a little bit, go look at Juan Soto's Baseball Savant page. It is one of the most absurd things you will quite literally ever see. And we're a month into the season, right? That's uh, again, we preach that a lot on this show. Obviously, that's true, but it doesn't make it any less ridiculous to look at that and go, "Oh my goodness! Like this guy is just different than everybody else." Really hard to get him to chase out of the zone, does damage in the zone. Just one of the more professional and honestly just incredible hitters we have in our beautiful sport. So that's going to be a treat to watch him. Unfortunately, we're hoping for him to struggle this weekend, which he has not done very often yet this year. Aaron Judge, however, has struggled this season. Sub 200 average at the time of this recording. He's had a slow start. Volpe is always interesting, gets you some speed on the base path. He's leading off. He got off to a really hot start his first couple of weeks, but has cooled off a ton since. Verdugo, when righties are on the mound. So in the first two games, I'd imagine we'll see Verdugo. He's a really good hitter against righties. Just like his numbers aren't incredible, but he just doesn't swing and miss like that. You want to talk about a dominate the strike zone guy? Verdugo just really doesn't swing and miss, works counts. He's good against righties. And yeah, like honestly, one of the similarities is the bottom of this Yankees lineup hasn't really got it going yet either. Gleyber Torres off to a really slow start this season as well. And I say either because obviously the Tigers' bottom of their lineup has not been very great. But 20-13 record, tied for the most wins in baseball at the time of this recording. They have more losses than some of those other teams, but 20 wins, tied for the most. And I think one of the things that's just so refreshing is having Skubal go Sunday. Like Tarek Skubal is not going to go undefeated over the course of 162 games, right? He's going to give up some runs. He's going to lose a game 1-0 because we're the Tigers. Like he's going to get some losses at some point, but it really does just make you feel like, okay, if we can just steal not even steal, let's not have a loser's mindset here. If you can win one of the first two games, you're in line for the series because you just have Tarek Skubal going game 3. Like that's such an awesome feeling to just be like, if we can just win one of these first two, we're in the driver's seat to take this. And you have the ability to do that and make it 5 straight series victories. So let's do that. Okay. Stuff really quickly, just around baseball a little bit since it's an off day and we've been talking Tigers, obviously all episode. Just looking around the league, Jose Abreu getting sent down is wild to me. I saw this floating around social media, so it wasn't my thought or realization, but he has never played a minor league game before. How crazy is that? Like has never, come back from injury. When he came over from Cuba and the White Sox signed him, he went straight to the majors, right? Like he got optioned by the Astros. He's been really struggling this year. This will be the first time he's ever played minor league baseball. That's just beyond wild to me. And then in the division, Byron Buxton limped off the field earlier this week. I think that's 2 days ago as you're listening to this on Friday. That has been the Twins' Achilles heel for a while, man. It is just like their core is all just guys that have not proven to be able to stay healthy. And it's really a shame because Byron Buxton at his best is truly one of the most fun and electric players in our entire sport. So hopefully he can recover. I know it's a division rival. I want to beat the Twins 1-0 every time we play them, but I don't like seeing any athlete get injured. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. This weekend, I believe Jake Reitmo will be back doing the Locked On Tigers postcast for the weekend. So you can check him out. If you're listening on audio, then it comes up naturally just on the Locked On Tigers feed. If you're a YouTube viewer, you can look up Locked On Detroit Sports, and you will see his page where he does immediate post-game reaction shows following the final out of every Tigers game. All right. Cool. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will be back on Monday. Let me know what you are all looking for in the month of May. That's what I kind of want to see here is this fluid conversation, right? Obviously, it's very easy to just say offense or just like point to certain players and go their production. What else are you kind of looking for in the month of May as we embark on the second month of the season and the Tigers are going into it 5 games over 500? Let's have a month, baby. Peace and love. Glenn Therapy's dope. I'll catch you on Monday, baby. Go Tigers.